Greetings and Shema again. I wanted to make yet another video on The Witcher 3 now that I'm 21 hours into it in much more detail, and I also want to talk about other companies and how they might relate to CD Projekt Red. Now let me say at the outset that I apologize for my mispronunciation of some of the terms and words and names. I had not yet read up on or made current my knowledge of the state of the world that is in Witcher 3 and the Witcher series. I've read up on a lot of things. I feel a little bit more comfortable with everything. Yes, Geralt of Rivia and the Nilfgaardians, etc. But this is a testament to the complexity and really the depth of the lore and the history. So I'm 21 hours into the game, and if I were forced to find one word to describe the experience in the game, I probably would say just wow. Those of you who've come to know me through the years, I'm not someone who's easily wowed. I don't use hyperbole other than in sarcasm or, well, just for the sake of doing it. Wow really means something here. And I'll go through all the aspects that I think are just incredible. Now, I've had to sort of tease out the best settings for the game for my poor gaming laptop, which is now going on 10 months old. But let me just say what my specs are. My CPU is an Intel Core i7, 2.5 gigahertz. RAM is 16 gigabytes, dual channel. The graphics is the 4095 NVIDIA GeForce GTX 880. And yeah, I mean, it's still a good laptop. But as you can note, it does fall below the CPU requirements. And I think that's had an effect on my FPS, basically. I've come to the conclusion that in order to enjoy the game the most, I need to run it on a combination of high and medium settings as far as the graphics are concerned. When I put it on Ultra, initially I thought it was okay, but over time it just seemed my FPS was just way down there in the low 20s, and that just was not very good. But I'm only saying this because even though I run on a combination of medium and high graphical settings, it runs very smoothly, and in spite of that, I can only imagine what Ultra might look like. The art and the graphics are just stunning. The game just looks incredible. It looks incredible. Not just the graphics, the level of detail, the way expressions have been sort of woven into the faces of characters you interact with. There's an expressiveness in the characters that, frankly speaking, is very difficult to find in other games that I've come to know over the years. I don't even know where to begin, but certainly in the graphical, artistic realm, as I said, the expressions, the countenance of people, you can really see their pain, their joy, their vindictiveness. It's all there. The art is absolutely fabulous. And then when I look at the landscape, the grasslands, the swamps, the trees. I haven't gotten to a mountainous area yet, but and the cities, the stonework you can see in the buildings, it looks like a film. It's absolutely stunning and incredible. I'm just talking about the graphics and the art. As I said, I can only imagine what it might be or what it might look like on Ultra. Maybe one day once I get a souped-up supercomputer. But I'm just thoroughly enjoying just taking in the scenery. It just looks amazing. It's stunning. It's beautiful. It's so well rendered, and that's all I can really say about the graphics. It's the best graphical experience I've ever had in a game, I think, to date. And of course, I haven't played all games, but I played a lot of role-playing games, and I will be getting into comparisons once I'm done with going through the things. So, art and graphics, just gorgeous, stunning. The cities, the stones, the cobblestones, everything is just amazing, amazing. The story, I had some reservations because I'm one of those people who does ultimately, I think, prefer, make your own character, vis-a-vis Skyrim and then decide what your character is doing or how he or she acts. But what The Witcher 3 has done to me and what I feel sort of has resonated in me, and indeed what it's done in the form of a resurrection of an interest in a singular protagonist, was to raise up those feelings I once had for the defunct and defiled series of Mass Effect 3, having a shepherd, as it were. And now that I've read up on a lot of the lore and I feel more comfortable with things, it's easier to play Geralt. I mean, I love how you can see that Geralt realizes that there's just so much gray in the world, for example. The decisions that he makes, the sarcasm, the snarkiness, he really is a well fleshed out character. And of course the art adds to that, the grittiness, his scars, the way he interacts with people. He knows that it's almost impossible just to be in the right, and decisions are difficult, and there are always going to be negative consequences. And that's the feeling I get from playing a fleshed out protagonist that is familiar to the world. Yes, you have a background, but that makes you all the more potent. I'm not talking about in terms of power, but the world knows you. They know you as a Witcher. That's an addition. You're a Witcher, but then you're also Geralt. And that just adds a new dimension, and I still do enjoy and have enjoyed playing. I'll play an Argonian or a Khajiit or an Altmer, and I'll decide the fate of my character. But there's another dimension that's added to the singular protagonist. And I'm mentioning this explicitly because I saw one of my subs in the comment section of the previous video on The Witcher said that he'd probably never play The Witcher because he likes playing his own self-fleshed out characters, which is something I can absolutely relate to. But I would say make an exception. Make an exception. So you have this unique character, and it really feels like you are in the driver's seat. Your decisions already after 21 hours seem to matter. They have an impact on the world. It gives you a different feeling, and I think it's probably, as far as singular protagonists are concerned, the best game I've played to date in that regard. It far outstrips, say, Mass Effect 3. But in addition to just Geralt, I mean, as I said, in conjunction with the art and the graphics, seeing the stories of individual characters, their pain, the struggles they go through, what do? Are you sympathetic to them, or do you help them out? Do you initially help them and find out, oh shit, I've been played, and there are many instances of this already after just over a little bit of 20 hours in the game. And I'm not going to reveal any spoilers, but one of the major questline plots was absolutely fabulously done. The choices, the revelations, the personal stories. The story is so well woven together. You feel like you matter. You feel like the decisions you take matter. And the characters involved, the people you're interacting with, it's just not black and white, and yet there's still a compelling aspect to it all. So I'm very impressed with the story. Obviously, I need to, whilst it's easy to comment on the art and the graphics and the settings, story, I need it to unfold further, but I'm very impressed so far. Now, what about other role-playing aspects, such as, customability and, your powers, your Witcher abilities? Initially, once again, I was skeptical. I thought, I like playing my Argonian or my Orc, and then I can decide how I want to build my character. But there is a tremendous amount of customability, if you wish to term it that. That might be a neologism, in the game. I've decided for my first playthrough that I'm going completely magic, just because it's something I want to try. I play on the second hardest difficulty. Maybe that's not the best setup. Maybe I should be combining things. But, I just, for role-playing reasons, I want to go all magic. And it's interesting. And the different abilities and how they build up, the interaction, and there's actually so much choice. I'm sure most people would go with a hybrid, some alchemy, some swordsmanship, some magic. But, either way you slice it, there's a lot of capacity for customizing Geralt. The armor you wear, it definitely falls into a very sort of hardcore RPG genre in that sense. Alchemical components are abundant. You need to put them together, and the alchemy system that I heard in the previous games was a bit overly complex. I think it's been correctly simplified a bit, but it's still complex enough to make it interesting in this game without going into too many details. Well, it wouldn't really be spoilers talking about alchemy, but things you harvest from monsters, plants, ingredients, and their usefulness. I mean, for example, in the case of me right now playing Geralt, I'm going all magic, and so I still use alchemy a lot, particularly Swallow, which is this healing potion, and Tawny Owl, which increases your stamina regeneration. But and I think, well, if I'd gone an alchemy route, I would benefit so much more from these potions. So it's you really can create a very different Geralt in how he sort of plays. Of course, the basics are still there. You're still going to use, some spell work. You're still going to use swordsmanship, but how you stress the character is ultimately up to you. And in that department, Witcher 3 absolutely delivers quite well. And it is it gives you a very classical RPG sense, as opposed to, well, other games, which I'll get to in a bit. And put together, I've been blown away, significantly so. As you know, I'm not one for hyperbole. I either engage in hyperbole for the sake of sarcastic reasons, or just because no one else tends to engage in hyperbole, so somebody needs to do it. So this isn't even a hyperbole. This is just me saying, wow. I was so skeptical at the beginning, and to the gentleman who posted his skepticism or his reluctance, I say, put aside your reluctance and try it out. I'm almost certain you'd love the game. I've really just been, there's just so many little things. The story, I mean, even when I was first playing Dragon Age Inquisition, I want to get to that in a bit, I had this urge to kind of skip past dialogues. It was kind of boring. I haven't done that once with The Witcher 3. Every little story I listen to, the tales and what's going on, I really want to hear what's going on. I feel almost magically sucked into the game, and I can't say that for many games, there have been few games throughout the years that have been able to do that, and most of them are from an era bygone, long ago. This game just kind of has it all. I'm not a fanboy. I mean, I'm just trying to give legitimately an objective sense of what I've gotten from the game thus far, and it is wow. It's an incredible game, and I'm only 21 hours in, and I'm still in chapter 1. I'm only level 7. There's still so much to do, and I'm a completionist. So I love all these monster quests, these little monster quests where you get nice little items, and even the monster fights. How do you fight a werewolf? Well, you need to research that. You need to check your bestiary. What are they vulnerable to? How do you fight specters? How do you, it's really thorough and well done. And there just isn't any game to date that's really come to this level. I think it's safe to say that CD Projekt Red has set a new gold standard for role-playing games and games in general that will be compared to for quite some time. It's absolutely stunning. Only thing I would say is that if you're a complete newcomer, you do need to read up on the lore. If you don't know anything about the virtual world, it's not that friendly, but that's easily done. There are tons of Wikipedia articles. There's, you can read the books. And I'm tempted to read the books after I'm done with this. But it's a glorious game. I'm particularly, someone who's traveled a lot, and some of these cities, I had to think of, say, Florence in Italy, which is, in terms of the architecture, just beautiful. You have the red brick rooftops and the individual stones. The streets are alive. It's just amazing. It really is. It just makes you feel part of the world. It feels real. So I guess I'm done with my initial praise of the game. I'm just deeply satisfied with this game to an extent that I have not been with any game for years. Now, as I just said, CD Projekt Red has almost certainly set a new standard for gaming, and specifically for role-playing games. I primarily want to focus on the comparison between, say, Bioware and CD Projekt Red. I think Bethesda is a different genre. It's an open world, The Witcher 3, but it is singular character protagonist driven, and that is distinct. That said, probably overall, The Witcher 3 is a better game than Skyrim, but Skyrim is an older game now, so I don't want to talk about that. But BioWare claims to be, story-driven and what have you, and we had the most recent game, Dragon Age Inquisition, which, to my mind, was a complete and utter failure. I wasn't sucked into the game. It was eminently forgettable, and yeah. When I think of CD Projekt Red as a company, what I've come to know now through The Witcher 3 and, say, Dragon Age Inquisition and what I knew of BioWare in the past, I could create a few simple analogies. Imagine that Bioware are a bunch of 5-year-olds in kindergarten with Play-Doh and crayons, doodling vaguely similar objects that they see that are vaguely similar to the actual objects, dogs, cats, people, basically the etchings of a 5-year-old with no talent and really doesn't know what he's doing, compared to, say, a Raphael, a master painter. Or in the case of Play-Doh, you see the 5-year-old sculpting some vague likeness to his dog at home. Compare that to, Michelangelo, the sculptor. Or if in terms of story and writing, we can compare, say, the idea of a 6-year-old basically writing an account of what his day was like after school and the milk that he drank, versus literary giants such as Shakespeare and Proust and Dostoevsky. I mean, that is the comparison here. It's not even that BioWare and Dragon Age Inquisition seem like behind the times or even rank amateurs. They seem like immature little children who don't have a fucking clue what they're doing when you look at the majesty, by way of comparison, of CD Projekt Red and Witcher 3. Yes, they're not identical genres in the sense that you create your own protagonists and whatever, but Witcher 3 makes you care in a way that BioWare games simply do not, at least to date, have not recently. It feels like BioWare, they're not even developers, really. They can sort of string some things together and put up some graphics on a screen, but they've completely been blown away by CD Projekt Red. And, I've read up a little bit on CD Projekt Red, and one fantastic thing about CD Projekt Red is, for better or worse, and I think it's for better, they're not beholden to the metaphorical iron boot of some corporate tyrant such as EA. And I'm not one to blame EA for all problems. I mean, EA didn't necessarily make Dragon Age Inquisition a bad game. But CD Projekt Red is independent. And what they care about is the story and the art and the elements in the game. They don't give a flying fuck for all this politically correct bullshit. And it shows. It actually makes the game real. It shows human concerns. Why does it feel like a movie? It feels like you're playing in a movie. You're part of a film. And you care about things. You listen to the dialogues. I haven't missed any or skipped any dialogues. And that's because they're just devoted to crafting a story, creating a compelling narrative, and illustrating it through what I think is the most incredible artwork I've seen in a computer game to date. Meanwhile, back on the ranch, you have BioWare going through politically correct bullshit, creating all sorts of weird agendas that really have nothing to do with the story, and it's completely irrelevant. And even take these ridiculous fetch quests in BioWare, get me some sheep mutton, okay. Yeah, you have quote-unquote fetch quests in Witcher 3, but they actually have meaning. If you have to track down a werewolf, you have to find the tracks. What happened there? Oh, there's a torn open woman on the side. What do you need to combat werewolves? What do you need to combat this monster? And there are layers to the plot. It's not just about, maybe this werewolf hunting trip is a little more complicated than I thought it'd be. Just as an example from the game, without going into details. BioWare doesn't do anything like that. It's just this big open world with lots of fetch quests. And CD Projekt Red is just on an entirely different level. It's like comparing gods to mortals in some way. They really know what they're doing. They care about creating a compelling story. And they don't kowtow to politically correct bullshit. They put in the game what they think makes a good story, makes the game beautiful, makes it interesting, and makes the game want to suck you in, basically, and just keep on playing. I haven't had that feeling with a game for so long, and I'm very, very pleased that I had decided to give Witcher 3 a try, despite having not played the other titles, which I still probably never will because of the controls. The controls are quite fluid now, and I enjoy them. But, BioWare, they don't even look like rank amateurs. They look like kindergarten children playing with Play-Doh and crayons, trying to create artwork that most people would laugh at. And CD Projekt Red look like a bunch of master painters and master sculptors and literary giants in way of storytelling and selling compared to BioWare. Well, are there going to be flaws in the game? Probably. I haven't really found any yet, but so far it's just incredible. I don't think, I'd say, well, Bioware could learn a lesson from CD Projekt. No, they can't. Bioware is just inferior, period. There's no lesson that Bioware could learn from CD Projekt Red to really improve their games because they're just never going to get to that level. If you look at the cities, it is absolutely incredible. The landscape, the way things work. I love the texture of the buildings. I keep on mentioning that. It's just perfect. BioWare is a fallen company, and I can only hope that CD Projekt Red remains this amazing AAA company that it is. They've gained my support. I'm going to be their strongest backer, I think, henceforth. Absolutely incredible. And there are things to look forward to in the future. The Witcher 3, even though I've just started, is coming to an end. I suspect there's going to be a lot of replayability. There'll be mods, etc. But Cyberpunk 2077 will be coming out, I don't know, maybe in 2016. And it's going to be a science fiction genre. And, I hate to use the term faith, but based on what I've seen in Witcher 3, and it's going to be really, really good, I suspect. And it's a certain buy for me, Cyberpunk 2077. As far as the Let's Play is concerned, I think I'm going to postpone it for a while. I've learned to sort of check my ambitions, and doing too much at one time is, well, just too much, frankly. I want to actually play through the game on my own, get an idea how everything works. And once I've done that, once I have basically finished the game and taken my time, I'm more than happy and looking forward to doing a Let's Play. After all, the game isn't running away. But I really want to enjoy it on my own, be familiar with everything, and really just see what it's like. And then on my playthrough, I can take completely different decisions, go a different route. I was thinking about going completely alchemy to see what that's like. Who knows? So the playthrough will be postponed till I've played a far bit more of Witcher 3. But all in all, I can say if you've not gotten this game, if you're interested in this sort of game, you like role-playing games, you can't lose with this game. They've set a new standard. It's nothing short of a masterpiece. This is the new standard of role-playing games, I think, and standard in the sense that no one's going to be able to beat it. This isn't the normal standard. This is the gold standard, the highest of the high, like Father Zeus. It's absolutely incredible. So enough of me rambling about that. As far as BioWare is concerned, Mass Effect 4 is on the horizon, but only thing I'm interested in is a multiplayer where I can have fun with friends online and shoot monsters and level up or whatever. I'm not looking for a great story from them. I don't think they're capable of doing that anymore. But CD Projekt Red has gained my support and indeed my loyalty. Excellent work. These guys are just operating on a different level, and I haven't seen anything come close to this. And I've been playing role-playing games for a long time. So, everyone, thanks for watching. I hope if you've not yet picked up The Witcher 3, you decide now to pick it up. I don't just talk, as you know, you've come to know me, I'm very critical about things. I don't just blow smoke out of my ass. I'm not just saying this. It really, really is good. So, check it out, and I should see you reasonably soon, I guess. But who knows? Only the gods know. As always, take care, and may your chosen deity watch over you. Bye-bye.